On. We gotta make ourselves sexy for our audience. Folks, hello and welcome to Talking Crit. I am your one of your hosts, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, and stage right is none other than Bad Mike Tenkar, my once a week work spouse. Welcome, Mike.
So you may have noticed we don't have a special guest. This is the first week in 6 or 7 weeks we have not had a special guest because Eric and I just thought, you know what? We just really need to talk to our fans because we haven't had a chance just to talk to you, just to open up, person to person and say how much we love you guys, blah, blah. No, actually, we just didn't have anybody this week. We've
Right,
got
we
some
just
people.
listen. I had ShireCon this past weekend, which we will certainly talk about. I've already mentioned a little bit of a recap, but I'd like to go over a bit more of it. And it was
I had a root canal, so I was kind of
so Mike
last
was
week.
drugged out.
I finally got it Monday. I got the root canal Monday. It was not a pleasant experience, but the horrific pain in my right back molar has stopped, so that's good. But it was not a painless procedure, folks. There was a period when he stuck a needle in 4 times to give me Novocaine. The third time, he hit the abscess where the tooth had decayed, and for 10 seconds, I had one of the top 10 painful moments of my entire existence on Earth, and I'm 59 years old. That's how bad it was for about 10 seconds. It was excruciating. I screamed like a baby with my mouth open and shoved back in the chair. All he could say was, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And then just keep shooting that Novocaine in there. I thought it was gonna be knocked out. I wasn't knocked out. They just shot me up.
No. And here's the thing too. I had about 20 years ago. I had my one root canal, and after my dental surgeon told me after the 4th shot, he's like, here's the news. I go, what? He goes, that's as good as it's gonna get. I go, what do you mean it's as good as it's gonna get? He goes, it's too inflamed. It's too inflamed. The root's too inflamed, the nerve is too inflamed. So I'm gonna have to scrape it out. It may be a bit discomforting.
Yep.
Top 3. Top 3.
By the way, hello, Jeff Tulane, one of our favorite dudes. James, hello, Climbing, hello, Bob, hello, Wizard Tower.
Yes. Now, by the way, just as a side note, Jeff, I got to see Hyperborea 3rd edition actually in person at ShireCon, and then got into a panic mode because I didn't get mine, and I was like, oh my god, search emails, and then I was like, oh, wait a second. What did I back for? Oh, I backed for the kitchen sink. And the kitchen sink
everything.
Yeah,
me too. I haven't got mine yet either because I forgot. I went and looked. I backed for the signed leather. Jeff really he conned me, man. He was like a major grifter. He just sat here and silver tongue devil at us when he came on the show, and for some reason I clicked that big old giant leather bound signed book. So yeah, I haven't got mine yet either. I was wondering where that was, but that's.
Yeah, it was a hell of a panic mode. I was like, holy shit. And I was like, because everybody's telling me. I'm getting all these. Dude, did you get your Hyperborea yet? I'm like, no.
Where's your Hyperborea, man?
You're like, I didn't get my Hyperborea yet. And I didn't realize why, because I forgot that how
because you backed too badass.
I backed too badass, damn it.
Jeff has breaking news for Talking Crit. Okay. Give it to us, Jeff. We're ready.
Give it to
you have Lovecraft signed copies of Hyperborea for Eric and I.
Give it to me, baby.
They're signed by Howard, Clark Ashley Smith, and Lovecraft, just for us.
I want my breaking news. I want my MTV.
So tonight we're going to talk. Eric's going to tell us all about ShireCon, Tom Wilson's great con. It looked awesome. I hated missing it, but it's a 3-day drive. But folks, when my wife retires, I think we're gonna head up there because it looks like a fun drive. 3 days there, stay for about a week, 3 days back. That sounds like a good little. The leatherette sample copies come tomorrow. Nice, awesome. So let me get this inside. But yes, and we're going to talk a little bit about the latest new TSR stuff because there's some kind of fun information about that. Then we're going to talk about
Bring Out Your Dead.
video that was made by an idiot, and or it's well, in
I
my opinion,
name the idiot.
in my opinion, it's an idiotic video. It's just idiotic, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But we'll springboard that into other discussions too. We're not going to just rip on this one guy who's not very smart. We're gonna springboard to other things too.
Right. You know. Do we pull that Band-Aid off first, Mike, or do we?
Well, I wanted to say climbing that mountain had an interesting question. I don't know why you decided to leave this question because we weren't talking about it, but I never thought about this really. If you could make any RPG system disappear and we would never hear about it again, which system would you choose to get rid of? That is an interesting question because I kind of look at it as, look, I guess every game serves a purpose. There's somebody that likes everything, right? I wouldn't want somebody to lose their favorite game just because I don't like it. And I can't think of any RPG system I just absolutely detest. Like, Fatal? Oh my god! But that's really like a joke anyway.
Yeah, nobody really plays it.
Yeah, nobody plays it. So the ones that are really bad, nobody really plays. And I don't know what do I not like or would hurt the hobby for me? Maybe Gamma World Fifth. What was I mean? Something that's unplayable.
Mutazoids. I could.
Yeah, maybe it might have been good though. I mean, I've seen the book. I don't know if it's.
I own it thanks to fucking Zach, but I think I own 2 copies.
I can't think of any game. I think of any system I just like to wipe off the face of the earth.
Star Frontiers New Genesis.
Yeah, look, that would have wasted a whole year of us talking about it. So yeah, that wasted our time. Definitely having to talk about that.
Rollmaster has some good stuff.
Yeah, Rollmaster has some great stuff.
And if you played MERP, it was basically Rollmaster lightish, kind of. Although we used to use MERP with the combat tables from Rollmaster because the criticals were more fun.
Maybe a game that's been rebooted that had a terrible reboot. And I'm trying to think. I like most I mean, I don't dislike most reboots, so I'm trying to think of something that might have been rebooted that was just like, yeah, that was just an absolutely just terrible. I know there's probably something out there that got rebooted that I absolutely just detest, but I can't off the top of my head remember what that might be. I mean, Gangbusters had a great reboot. I think Traveler's okay. Gam World had an okay reboot. Metamorph South okay reboot. Top Secret reboot was okay. I mean, I don't know. I can't think of a system I just like to disappear off the face of the earth because it's just so ridiculous.
No, because here's the thing: good games get played, bad games get put in a shelf.
Sure,
but I don't have to play a bad game, so I don't really need it removed. And maybe I enjoy aspects of that bad game. Maybe I find it inspirational. So I don't know. There is something trying to kick around in my head. Something on a level of unplayable, unplayable here. But I don't want it just taken away because the setting material is good. Bushido, not playable.
Yeah. But a lot of FGU games were really the great ideas, very hard to play. There was that mixture of a war game along with RPG game, and they had great settings and interesting plot line type things, that and the pirate game they had was pretty cool, but they're just not very playable at all. I mean, I don't know anybody that plays them. Do you? I don't know anybody that plays these games at all. No,
so yeah, no, interesting.
I'll think on it.
But yeah,
if something pops in my head during the show, I'll pop out with it. But
I mean, you could, if you ask me, is there a module that should never have been published? I actually picked one up over at ShireCon because I never had an original copy, and it was Palace of the Silver Princess, the rewrite.
Right.
Because the rewrite makes no sense. I have it in PDF, and the rewrite, you're kind of scratching your head going, it didn't zig or zag, it just shat the bed. I don't understand what happened.
Jeff has a good thought there. Some of the hugest $1 million Kickstarters are actually being played actively. I've noticed that too. A lot of award winners just say like, "This game." Does anybody ever play Thirsty Sword Lesbians? I mean, that one.
That conversation was going on in my Discord server.
Maybe if somebody plays it at a con. I mean, I don't know if people that are running a campaign with it. That seems more of a one-shotty type thing. And so, same thing with DCC. I mean, I know there's people that play DCC campaigns, but that seems to work really well as a one shot, like a convention one shot type.
Oh, I
adventure.
think it's because DCC adventures are kind of written to be episodic. They're not written.
Yes.
There's not written to be a campaign. They're not written where one leads to the other. They stand alone. They are very
Except for their box sets, like they have the Purple Planet one, which is
right.
kind of space fantasy, and they have a couple of
Chain
kind of box sets.
coffin, you know.
Yeah, chain coffin. So, but yeah, you're right. The modules are just one shot. Here's something that happens, and they don't really refer to other modules. And yeah, I can see that. But yeah, I think that's funny when somebody. I look at some like the old indies. Look at, if you want to laugh sometime, look at the indie awards the last 10 years, and then you'll be like, what was this? Game of the year, Googledy Bop, and you're like, I've never heard of it, and I've never seen anybody play it, and it's not being published anymore. You'll see that quite a bit when you look at any awards, because
what is this crap?
Yeah, it's just something that was really hot for a year. They got all crazy about it, and Paizo came out with it, so it was excited. They were excited because back in the day, Paizo and WotC used to win everything. I guess Chaosium used to win stuff too, and then nobody else won anything. And then it was just some of the stuff is just mind blowing that you'll see on that list, because you won't remember it ever coming out in your wildest dreams. You'll be thinking about it, going, I don't know what that is. So yes, did not pass the test of time. Nobody plays it anymore.
I don't know what the paranoia that it is, Bob. I think I ran first and I owned second. I don't know.
I don't think Dangerous Journeys had any useful ideas. Dangerous Journeys was weird. Now, I don't like anything about Dangerous Journeys. I know it has fans. I find it absolutely unplayable. I think it's beyond unplayable. I know people try to play it and they pretend like, oh yeah, I played it with it. No, nobody plays Dangerous Journeys the way it was supposed to be written or whatever, because I think it was Gary Gygax with all the filters off, saying, I'm just going to do what I've always wanted to do. I don't have any editors. I don't have any people telling me I can't do this. I'm going to throw everything in the kitchen sink, because those books. Oh man, I just had them up here. Oh, here we go. Okay, look, here's the Mythos Magic book. You want to look through all the spells?
No.
Yeah, and find out which one's to cast, and they're all weird, like Riot Grow Charm. And look, this one's half a page. Vegetate Charm. I mean, it's overkill. But that's just the magic book.
By the way, I think Jeffrey has the winning comment.
Cyborg Commando.
That's probably a game we could have done without. I don't know if anybody who ever tried running that. Oh my God, it was.
Here.
I'm supporting Gary. That was me. I'm supporting this. Yeah, I don't know what happened. He has his own company now. I'm going to support him because. But yes, Bob.
Yeah, it was hard to support. It was very hard to support Gygax and Company when they split off, because really everything they came out with was just kind of like they had the Gore of the Road books, which were, and then the Cyborg Commando, which is it's Dangerous Journeys, which was and then there was a module called the Convert, which wasn't one of Frank's best efforts at all. I always had this theory about Frank. Frank's written dozens of adventures in his lifetime. I don't think he ever publishes his best ones, because I think he always holds those back for some reason, thinking, okay, I'm going to use this someday, and I don't want to publish it for fill in the blank, Eldritch Enterprises, Gary's company, whatever. And so that, or he writes a lot of very just kind of boring, not very exciting stuff. But I don't believe that about.
Wait, you're saying that
he publishes his best stuff?
You're saying Forest of Doom is not one of his best works?
How about Lich Dungeon? Lich Dungeon's not any good.
Isn't Lich Dungeon part of Forest of Doom? Oh my God, whatever.
Yeah, they're not very good. So I don't know. So yeah, I could probably find an individual module I wish had never been printed, because it's just stupid and there's no point. Well, anyway, so I want to hear about ShireCon, because ShireCon looked fun. I saw the pictures. Everybody was having a blast. You get to talk about ShireCon here. So tell us all about what happened at ShireCon.
Well, Rach and I got there we got to the Falls Village on Friday around, 2:30 in the afternoon, and kind of poked our head by the convention, saw a few people, like, all right, we're going to check into our inn right around the block. And we
Nice.
get there, and the door has like a punch code on it. I was like, that's different. All right.
Good.
Uh, I'm like, fuck, this door's locked. There's a doorbell. Nothing. All right, go back around the corner, hang out, talk to a few people. Come back, and now it's around, I don't know, 3:30, 4 o'clock, and we see somebody in the outdoor seating for the attached restaurant. But by the time we actually could get her attention, she was back inside. So now we're like, what the fuck do we do?
Oh boy.
Finally, 4:30, we got the attention of someone, and oh yeah, by 4:31, we were in our room.
Oh,
Check-in
nice.
was, what's your name? Oh yeah, here's your key. Walks us upstairs. Here's your room. Beautiful, huge fucking room, but the house is about 200 years old. Um, so or more. It's got one of those old horse hitching posts in front.
Oh, very historic and beautiful, I bet you.
Very historical. So Rachel realized while using the bathroom, because ladies sit down to pee, that she goes, "Hey, this bathroom floor gotta have this slight, angle to it." I'm like, really? And of course, it made me think of Castle of the Mad Archmage with Joe Block and a
Uh,
15% slope. I was like, here I am thinking like, hey, we could just label the bathroom with a slope. But it was very nice. They suggested reservations if you wanted to eat there. Restaurant was only open from 5 to 8.
oh dear.
Bar was only open till 5 to 8ish.
Oh dear. That's a
So we ate
tragedy.
in the bar, but because it looked awesome. Food was spot on,
Hmm.
really nice, and then we wandered over to the pre-con, get it on. Hung out with a number of people. Most notably on Friday, probably was going to be Tom and Tammy of the Tip Top Tap Room. It was great to finally meet them in person,
Yeah, I saw the pictures of them. It looked like they were having a great time.
and we hung out. And since I was driving, I could bring my own cooler of beer and other like Diet Dr Pepper and hop tea for H. And it does it when you can bring your own alcohol. I should have brought some hard alcohol, but when you can bring your own, it certainly cheapens the cost of drinking.
Yes.
So then Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, I ran the Swords and Wizardry Light, Minions of Tenkar, and the night before, like I already knew that I knew I had about anywhere from 30 minutes to probably 45 of the initial town adventure, having them asking questions and stuff. Didn't need a map for that. Just had a few random notes, and then I had my maps, I should say, for the actual adventure. But I was like, you know what? I need some more spiffy NPCs. So I made Rach write them, and she's like, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Rach, your assignment." And I go, "I need 6 or 7, whatever you feel comfortable with. I need names. I need 1 or 2 sentence description, and then I need no, sorry, 1 or 2 word description. Town drunk, you know, you know, midwife, whatever. And then I go 2 sentences. Give me their personality. Well, Rach did such a great fucking job. When I looked at it, I went, I'm gonna have so much fucking fun role playing these
Oh
folks
yeah.
because you get into a rut yourself as a creator, as a game master. So and Rach had never done that stuff. Trying she actually enjoyed it, so I might use Rach for that more often. But yeah, we ran. We actually had Tom actually had a handful of the class character cards with your character sheet on one side and your cheat sheet for the class on the other side. He still had a few of those, or you sent a few. I don't know, but I was like, "Oh my god, this is going to be awesome!" And I did not. I knocked 2 people down to zero. Dice were out in the open. Nobody got killed. Rachel was already second level because this character had survived twice prior.
Ah. Mm.
So she didn't enjoy me making her the unofficial party leader. She's like, I don't want to be the party leader. I go, tough. They look to you for leadership. Can't, but it went very well. It was a lot of fun. I had great role players. We actually had at the table when we had our $1,000 giveaway, or no, 1,000 subscriber giveaway.
Oh, wow, it's $8,000.
Yeah,
Whoa,
no.
hey.
Oh God, I forget her name, but she won $100 gift certificate at drive-through. Her and her husband are still spending the money. So,
Wow, that's great.
that's pretty cool. And my son should know fucking better than to call me on a Wednesday
Yeah,
night.
that's like the fifth time he's done this.
It's like, yeah, I'm gonna see. Am I more important than your show? No, you're not, kid. Not during my show. Sorry, young man. But no, that was actually pretty cool. And then let's see. Then we broke for lunch and I guess and lunch and raffles. And the Verholts, the tabletop tap room couple, won twice on the raffle.
Mhm.
So good for them.
Wow.
Got to meet Rob Conley, Matt Jackson, uh, Joe's brother Mike in person for the first time. We went out to dinner after the second game slot, which, by the way, folks, I've done what I had never done before. I played 5e. I didn't realize.
Whoa.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not realize it was 5e when I signed up for it. I saw it's the Great Cthulhu, Charlie Brown, using 5e rules. And I figured, oh, it must be Call of Cthulhu 5e rules, the box set.
Ah.
No,
Which has been weird because Call of Cthulhu is like on rules system 7 or 8 now. So
right,
that's been kind of weird.
right.
But I can see that because sometimes people, there's a big difference between 6 and back and then 7 forward. Everything, it's a big difference. There's a huge difference in Call of Cthulhu when you hit about level or version 7.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense.
You know, they claim there isn't a huge issue, but no, it was 5e D&D, and we were playing the Peanuts gang. So I got to be Snoopy. Awesome. He was a martial artist. Here's the thing: I was not using half my abilities because I couldn't figure out half my fucking abilities. Fifth level character in 5e, I got a printed out folder of 8 pages, and I didn't have spells.
Jeez Louise.
I didn't have any fucking spells, and it was 8 pages. So I'm going to repeat what I've said in the past, and I firmly believe this. I will never run 5e. Never in a million years will I run 5e. Will I play in a 5e game? Perhaps. I had a great time. I had a great GM. He was one of the people behind was it Phoenix Rising Con or something like that up in Massachusetts in April. So I think that we have another one to go to. It's a 3-day con. I heard from a lot of people it's a good venue. The hotel does a very good by the convention goers and such. So, but man, then after that we followed up with a dinner with the Friday night group, and then we closed down. We literally closed down the venue, hanging out with Tom and Levi Combs and not actually Levi might have left earlier. Oh God, who's Matt Roberts? I'm gonna tell you who's the crazy one, the real crazy one from the Matt.
Matt's crazy. Yes, he is.
And
yes,
we wound up. I think we left the venue at like after midnight, which for us was fine. It's a walk around the corner, but I would not have wanted to have driven that after a few drinks and a few whiskeys and scotches. But it was nice. I mean, it's a very nice town. I wish they had better accommodation. I should say more accommodations. The accommodations we had were good, but the inn only holds like 6 rooms, I think, or 8 rooms. And then then you got. I think somebody else was a 10-minute walk away. Others were a 10-minute drive. You know, if you're going to be playing with adult beverages, you want the ability to stagger to your room, and we had that ability. So
that's always good when you're on site like that. That works out really good.
then we left Saturday morning by checkout was by noon. We were out by 10. But it was just very relaxing, very energizing. So you feel like you re-energized your body and your soul. So it went very well. And Tom did a great job. I think
Oh
there were
yeah.
about 90 attendees, and that's real attendees, not like the Dungeon Hobby Shop where it's like walk to that door a few more times so they can keep on counting. But it was good, and I talked to Joe Block. Joe Block brought
Hey,
a lot of his more recent releases, and they sold very well. He did a good amount of business. So
good deal. Good for him. Well, that sounds like that was a fun weekend of gaming excitement.
it was. Like I said, I got to see Rob Conley and Matt Jackson. I have known for years. I've been following. Batniak was one of probably the first, if not one of the first, uh, old school blogs that I found back in the day when I came back to gaming, and to finally get to meet Rob is and was awesome. And Matt Jackson's exactly as I expected him to be. So I don't know, Matt. That could be good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you look at it. But it was just really good. Get to meet all these people. Got to meet DM Bloodsworth, retired school official from New York City. Another old school gamer. We've conversed online. It was the first time we actually got to meet face to face, so it's always good.
Hmm. Yeah, that's one of the great things about conventions is that you get to see all these people that you probably know online for a long time, but never actually met face to face. And you meet them, you're like, I felt I've known you for a long, long time, though I've never actually met face to face.
Right. Well, that's what, like, James Spahn and I think we've only met, I believe, once at North Texas for the face to face. Yet, I was his sponsor for his confirmation as a Catholic, and James and I are tight like brothers. The internet age is a different age. You can make those connections that you couldn't necessarily make 20 or 30 years ago. Pen pals by letter is not the same as, hey, let me call you up for a face to face chat. Is there some bit of intimacy to that? And yeah, it's climbing that mountain. Rach was the DM's wife. By the way, she was also my ninth slot at a table of 8 because I will not. I'm not going to give a slot to Rach when she can have the chair that I don't sit in,
Mm-hmm.
so I can get 8 players at the table. But she's played in my games in the past. I'm not sure about yours. She's also played with, I think, Pex once, and she played with a bunch of the wives of North Texas. What to say? And Rach had a fighter, and she figured might as well keep my fighter rock and then play the magic user because, as she put it, the one time she played a magic user and she survived. She cast her sleep spell, and then she threw her daggers, and then she started fighting with her iron spikes because she had nothing left.
No daggers,
No, she threw them
no
all. Yeah,
blowguns,
no,
nothing.
no. So
No rock, not a rock. I mean, she didn't have a
no,
rock
so
she could bash with.
she wanted to be a fighter, and she figured a
Think
fighter was
about an iron
good.
spike that could do some damage. I wouldn't have an iron spike do 1 or 2 points damage.
Oh yeah, easy,
Yeah,
easy. And it's
but
and it's
you shove that in
rusty.
your eyeball, it's gonna do some damage. Sorry, man, it's gonna hurt.
So the game went very well, and the 5e game went very well. The GM was awesome, but I'm suspecting he was a little loosey goosey with the rules. But I swear to God, I needed more than half. I think he gave us like 10 minutes. I probably needed at least half an hour to have a concept of what my character could not do. Rach was a sorcerer, so she was a spellcaster. She was just like, I can't read all. I don't. She's like, what the?
And that is the problem. I mean, look, fifth edition is probably the closest version of D&D after the year 2000 to what we play, right?
Right.
But even then, it still requires much more preparation than anything pre 2000.
Yeah. So
I
I don't
mean,
know. Oh,
or
and
or the OS or OSRs type stuff. That's basically
so
what they're on.
I bid on and lost and I actually lost. There's a lot of silent auctions going on, and there was one for Matt Roberts put up a copy of the fourth printing white box. It was
Ooh,
the box was not in good shape. Like the top of the box was missing its whole left panel, but the insides looked pretty good. I didn't look for rust. I didn't do the really good Bill Meinhardt and rate it, but the box itself was uh, fair at best. The contents inside were probably very good. So my bid of what,
but
335 did not win. It was
by
not
the
a
way,
win.
one of my favorite convention memories was last year at Game Hole. I Bill and I took all the auction stuff into a little room at Game Hole, and I said, I just want to watch you grade everything. Because for those who don't know, Bill Meinhardt is probably one of the top 10 D&D collectors in the world. Well, not probably, he is. And he's been to every Gen Con auction since like 1994, 94. I'm sorry, 1984. He works with the auction there, and just he gets to see. He's seen thousands and thousands of items. So just watching him work the pile we had was very informative for somebody like me, who I've been collecting as long as Bill has, but not with the intensity that Bill does. And so it was really cool to see him go at it and just look at the things he looked at. I learned some things. I learned a few things. As much as I've been doing selling, buying, selling, trading online since 92, 94, right in that range, I still learned some stuff from Bill because he shrink is not a condition, as Bill
Yep.
says, and he'll show you why it's not a condition because there are shrink wrapped items that have dented corners and creases, and so he'll point that out when he's looking. So it's okay. Here's a shrink wrap module. What do you see, Mike? I'm like, okay, here's a ding. Here's a ding. He said exactly. Here's a crease. Look, there's a little rust right here. See this rust right here? So like you're right. Shrink is not a condition because that's his code word. So yeah, working with Bill is great. So Bill would have looked at that probably missing panel. I think that might have been good, maybe at the best, probably good minus. Probably yeah, might even been fair. I'm not depending on the inside interior stuff.
Yeah. So, and and I am not a stupid spouse. I cleared it by Rach, and she's like, "If you think it's worth it," I didn't want to like bid
Well, it
on.
was worth it. Obviously, it was worth it because it went for more.
Yeah, but
So
she's
it
like,
was worth it.
if you think it's worth it, then do it. Just don't complain when I buy more.
Ooh,
As different potion bottles.
just collectibles, man. They're just going up in price every time you turn around. Look, I've got so many old stuff, and I went through my office today. I was cleaning up some stuff, and I'll show you what I found just because it's fun. Well, I found all this Mythos stuff, which I thought, oh, I better sell that. I'm not a big Mythos collector. I think it's a terrible game, but I found some. Found some really cool old stuff. I thought, oh, I should sell this or at least look through it. As Mike looked through his box of stuff that was right by his chair, and there it is. I found these babies under my desk. I think at one point I got them in a trade or a buy, and I thought I'm going to look at them, and I put them under my desk in a box, and I forgot all about them. So we have R1.
Oh shit!
We have R2. We have R3, and we have R4. Now R4 is missing the staples. This is not uncommon sometimes. There are collectors that will take out the staples because staples will rust, and they will put them in later. Doug once bought a Dragon magazine collection. The first 6 issues had no staples, and the people would take them out to store them. Now this one had rust marks, so I think what happened was the staples were rusty and they took them out anyway. So these are I don't. These used to go for about $100 each because they're very hard to find. They were only available through the RPGA Society in the '80s. They're written by Frank Mentzer. They're tournament modules. They just were hard to find because you had to join the RPGA to get them, and then you had to order them off the site. Well, at the point at that time, there's only a couple thousand members of the RPGA, so they weren't. These never appeared on a shelf to buy. They were only available through mail order, and probably short printed too. So as time got on, these got harder and harder to find, and they'd be like $100. You could get them for $100 for a while. Then they went up to like maybe 200, right in that range. I looked on some of the price on eBay now, and I was like, "Whoa, hey!" Now these aren't great condition, but I'm not surprised. I'm a little bit surprised that box set went as much as you said it did, just because it's missing the panel.
Right.
But maybe somebody thinks they can repair it because you could buy a really, really trashed out white box and then somehow get that panel on there. If you
I don't know, but I mean, I just think it's the idea of having a fourth print.
Lou, these were all Egg of the Phoenix. These all became Egg of the Phoenix. Janelle Jaquez rewrote these when they never reprinted them, but they rewrote them as I-12 Egg of the Phoenix, and there's parts of all these in the Egg of the Phoenix.
So interesting.
Yes. But that's why if you buy I-12 Egg of the Phoenix, it says by Frank Mentzer and Janelle Jaquez or Paul Jaquez at the time. So anyway, but yeah, that's collectible. We could probably have a show on that one time. We need to get Bill Meinhardt on here to talk about his incredible collecting career because it'll blow your mind. He holds the honor of he was the first person to ever buy an orange B3 at Gen Con. And I think the year after it came out, he was at the convention. I think he got it for a couple $100 because somebody had it. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's the one that they pulled." And he was bidding, and then nobody else was bidding, and he kept bidding, and he got it for a really cheap price at the time. Right. And so now those things go for several $1,000s, obviously. But that's something that's really the price of collectibles nowadays is really amazing.
Well, it's funny because Tom had boxes of stuff that he was selling, and pretty much he was selling it at the price on either that was on the label or the price that was on the cover. If I picked up, was it Path of the Lost, the Pace Setter solo adventure?
Oh yeah.
I had forgotten to back that, so I grabbed that, snagged that. I got the Palace of the horror queen. No, the really bad Gene Wells rewritten.
The B3, but you got the green cover, right? Yeah. I got to beat it copy for like $10. Well, that was the one that was rewritten. The orange. So the orange B3 was the one that she wrote. That if you've ever read it, which it's easy to find online, it's not very good. And so it was rewritten by Tom Mulvey, I believe. Yep. And so the green B3 it's okay. It's just he had to change a lot. And if you put them both together and read about it, you can see how much he changed, which is actually quite a bit. So then I got it's not one of the better modules in the B series by any means.
I got Alan Hammock's Tower of Inverness, which I had played in but never actually owned.
Yeah. Great module.
I think that was $20. It's in probably fine to very fine. It's in pretty good condition. And then I found a beater copy. And again, I never played Isle of Dread. I was not a basic expert. I didn't play basic expert.
So good.
So I have a PDF copy on my drive somewhere. So it was a complete copy, Mike, $4.
We're going to play a game here. You're going to say a module. I'm going to pull it out of my This is the orange cover. Did you get the blue cover? You got blue cover?
I got the blue cover, the earlier. Yeah, and it's a beat up copy. It was $4.
Oh, you can't. No, you can't beat that. So let me tell you a story about X1 Isle of Dread. I have a friend of mine, Dr. Joe, who comes to the con, North Texas. You might have met him there. He has 2 kids. I had a daughter, and we would get together and play like a kids campaign, like once a week, once every 2 weeks. We play with the kids. They were like 10, 11, 12 years old, and I just took X1 and said, "Your ship crash landed on this island, and you have to get off." And we played that damn thing for 3 years.
Really?
because you could stick all kinds of other modules on the island. It's
Yes.
just this island, and there's pirates there. There's dinosaurs. There's all kinds of crazy s on this mountain or this island,
You
and it's
can
just
say
great.
shit, Mike.
I know. What am I doing? What am I? I'm saving that up for the
Oh,
later part of the show when I
your
rip
rant?
Dave Simpson the new one. Yeah, but it's just a great little. It's just a great setting. It's so cool because you can throw about anything you want on that island. And a couple of years ago, Tom Wilson and I wrote X 1.5, which is it's set in that little area, and it's just set on a different island, and it has all kinds of cool stuff on it too. So it's just a great launching pad for campaigns, for adventure, especially if you want to do outdoor exploration
Oh
stuff.
yeah. No, I started looking, leafing through it, and went, oh, it's so much different looking at this in print than PDF, and that's a whole other discussion, folks.
Yeah,
I love
true.
both for different reasons, but like I want my PDF so I can print out copies for the game table, so I don't have to write in my original, as opposed to what I
Right.
used to do as a
Oh yeah.
kid or teen.
Or
When I
just
was
do like I
writing
used to do when I was younger. Just run a photocopy of it, and just mark that photocopy up, and or nowadays you print out PDF though, right? Back in the old days, we just take this, stick it on the copier, just copy it up, and then just use so you wouldn't have to use the map in here. The map, you would have to pull this map out. You would just, ooh, yeah, I get all just holding it like that gets me all crazy because I'm just thinking, man, I'd love to run a campaign set on All Dread.
And
Love it.
Joe the lawyer got a stack of Dragon magazines at cover price.
That son of a bitch.
So he was thrilled. I was like, damn.
Well, that sounds like you had some good little goodies there, some treasures.
Yep, and I won mostly a DCC silent auction. It had two Holly Stroh adventures in it. I was like, it's got two Holly Stroh adventures for $15. I'm already getting my dollars worth. Let's see what else I can get. And then I picked up some other stuff from Tom, his adventure from this year, his adventure from last year for the con. So I came home with a fairly heavy bag.
Well, it's all supporting good cause. Tom's kick-ass little
Yeah.
con there, so. And that's. I will have to make it there someday because it just sounds wonderful, and it sounds like this cool little game day like we used to have back in high school, almost. And you all get together and.
It's like a smaller North Texas in that everybody knows your name and everybody's relaxed and there's no dramas. There's no weird weddings going on.
No, wait, hold on. Satine wasn't there getting married to somebody else?
No.
Okay, all right. By the way, you just reminded me of something. I guess we haven't really talked about this, but I think we decided we are going to do this. Last week on the Thursday show, somebody asked us what our favorite adventures were. And
yes. And
we talked about it. We said, you know what? This should be a show. And so, I don't know. We'll have to plan it for next time we have no guest schedule. But
yeah,
Eric and I are going to do our top 10 D&D adventures. And what we'll do is we'll break it down even more than that because I could make you a list of 100 adventures you probably need to look at some point because I've got so many. So what we'll do is we'll say, how about top 10 OSR adventures?
well, that means we leave out the classic era TSR stuff.
Classic TSR because everybody's going to say the same, 8 modules or whatever. So nothing pre-2000, which is shocking, I know, because obviously there's a lot of good there. And nothing really pre-2007. So we're just talking like the last 15 years, really.
Yeah.
And our favorite OSR, because somebody, I can't remember who was, asked us, well, tell me some good OSR modules. And I
think
had
it was climbing the mountain. Head. Climbing that mountain, I think,
what was that?
Gave us that idea.
So, yeah, we have some, I could throw a couple off the top of my head, but I'd have to think for the other ones. And so give me a week or two, and I will come up with a pretty good list of OSR old school type adventures. Some of the ones, and you'll be surprised by some, Eric. Some of you're like, I've never heard of that one, or I don't even know what that is. And I think they'll kind of blow your mind a little bit. So, and I'm sure you'll probably have some that I'm not really that familiar with. So that should be fun.
Well, before we do the episode, give me your list so I can put up like a page on. What I want to do is have a reference page that people can go to at Tenkar's Tavern. Just have it won't be a post; it'll be a page, and I'll link it, and that way they can go and follow along, follow links to the stuff if it's available in PDF or whatnot.
And we won't just say the names. We'll actually talk about the module a little bit too. We won't say,
Right.
okay, here's my 10 and here they are. No, no. We'll actually talk about, okay, here's why I think this is a really good module. And if we have a story based on it, I'm writing one down right now that I just had forgotten about that I need to put up so I don't forget it. Okay. But I'll make a list here and then I'll send you my list. So anyway, that was just, I just wanted to say that before I forgot about it because we don't really do shows like that. We don't do reviews, releases like that. But we thought that was kind of an interesting topic because somebody said, yeah, what's the OSR done that's so great? And where's some great OSR? I want to know what OSR adventures are that are good. And I want to know what writers are good for the OSR, that kind of thing. We're like, yeah, that's actually a pretty good little, subject for just a 2-hour talk on our part. So,
well, here's another thing. So I discussed with Tom. Joe mentioned it briefly with Tom. The Tenkies, and it's going to be official next year at ShireCon. The game plan is we have to. Your panel is the Friday night guys plus Mike plus Tom, so it's the random generated party plus 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to figure out the categories. And although categories like shit I always want at the table is a cool sounding category, I don't think we can really phrase it that way. It'll be taken serious by the people that actually get these awards, right? So you want to, but I do think, and this is something that came to me earlier today, is in addition to whatever categories we have for the last 12 months, we should have one every year announce one classic, whatever it is, something that came out years ago, whether it is like Dwimmermount. It wouldn't be Dwimmermount, trust me. But if it was something like, Dwimmermount, or I don't know, Rappahathic, or whatever, something that is was printed before the start of the Tankies, which are going to be starting this year, but be able to still recognize stuff from prior years, one a year. It's like, and then we will vote. We will vote amongst ourselves, and the highest vote getter gets a. So we're going to work on the details of that. So
sounds complicated. So I think that I'm glad you're handling this because it sounds kind of complicated.
It doesn't. It doesn't sound. It's not as complicated. Climate Mountain says, "Oh, it wasn't his idea, but he may have magnified it." Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. No, there's there's no drawing, Jen. There's no drawing. However,
all she wants is free stuff all the time. It's just about, can I get for free?
At my table, my Swords of Wizardry Light table, at ShireCon, for the 9 o'clock slot, one of my players was the winner of a $100 gift certificate from the $1,000 subscriber drawing. So, we had that. So,
so speaking of OSR, that is. Should we talk about that, or you want to talk about Lanasa?
Let's go to the elephant. We're not going to want to end on this one. We're going to want to end on something a little bit.
Let's end on Lanasa getting kicked in the nuts. That's always funny.
Okay, that sounds good.
That's always a palate cleanser. He's been getting quite a few nut kicks lately, so it's kind of funny to watch this House of Cards slow. It's like, House of Cards, they fall and they go. This one's just kind of like slowly crumbling into, it's like a slow motion House of Cards. But it's been a pleasure to watch. Let's just say.
Well, I will give you the wand right now. The rod of lordly might. How about that? I will give you the rod, and you can start the beatings on this one.
Well, so this is a hard one to talk about without seeing the original video, and I hate to give the original video any.
Folks, listen here. I found out about this because of Joe Block talking about it, and when he talked about it, he refused to give the person any kind of screen time or airtime. And guess what? I knew exactly who the fuck he was talking about and found the video in like 3 seconds.
So,
So,
so, so
so
somebody in our community
no,
came out.
I'm gonna name them. I'm gonna name
Okay,
them.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not gonna link them. So you're gonna have to do that minimal effort at the end of this to actually give. Listen, this person has twice my subscribers and like a tenth of my traffic. So it tells you that they are. I don't know, but
Yeah.
here, I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. It's the same fucknut, and I mean that with all due respect, that called me an anti-vaxxer because the person who was vaxxed twice and boosted and got COVID was telling people to seek out advice from a medical professional that knows your history before doing anything. Because, hey, my family, my sister got heart palpitation from shot number one.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. So, medical professionals are better advice than, I don't know, uh,
Because this
feel
person is so addicted, so absolutely addicted to virtue signaling that they cannot even have a logical type conversation because their virtue signaling is taken to the 100th level. And so if you're not sitting there pounding the table that everybody must get a shot, and if you don't,
Yep.
you're a horrible, just terrible human being.
Horrible. I'm an anti-fucking vaxxer because I got my vax, but because I'm not telling you to act like an adult and follow medical advice from somebody who can give you fucking medical advice, not some quack on TV. Sorry,
Right.
I'm still pissed about that. It's still fucking
You
annoying.
do have. I see you do have a. Yeah, you do seem to be. I didn't realize that they hit you that hard still.
It
But
pisses me
it's just
off.
stupid. It's just
arrogant bullshit of, I know better than everybody. No, I know I don't know better than everybody, which is why I told you. Seek medical advice. I don't want you getting a shot. Tenkar told me to get 2 shots and a booster, and I had heart palpitations and a regular heartbeat. Dude, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV.
you're an adult. We assume that everybody here is an adult, except for there's a few people that watch us that aren't. But other than that, most of the people here are adults. And so why are we going to tell you that you must do something when you're an adult? You decide what you do. And look, we've given you our situation. We both had shots, so we've already told you shots. And Eric's right. This fucknuts called us anti-vaxxers just because at the end of his show, Eric says you're an adult, you know what to do, blah blah.
Seek
And
medical. I would say, listen, I would tell you, I'm fucking vaxxed. Rachel is vaxxed. We're not anti-vax. However, we're not medical professionals. I can't give you medical advice. Seek a medical professional. Follow their advice. Yes. How fucking hard is that? I didn't know. I was so pissed off, Mike. Okay.
Well, this person put out a video called "Why the OSR is Dying" or "Why the OSR is Dead."
Hold on.
Or something ridiculous like that.
The OSR is destroying itself. It's destroying itself.
So I really can't even. I can't describe this because it's just so dumb. But without, and Joe Block had a really excellent counterpoint to this, which I can't speak like Joe, and Joe is very articulate when it comes to this. But basically, the theory was in this that in 10, 20 years, nobody's going to be playing OSR because it's filled with a bunch of white, bigoted racists. And once we're all dead, nobody will play old school games anymore, and everything will go on to be. And it's going to be a happy world, and everybody's going to run and sing in the grass and whatever. And it was just stupid. And so Joe did somebody had a couple people had mentioned this online. So Joe did a rebuttal YouTube about it.
Yep.
And he did a good job, but I want to get a little more personal because Joe was very. He did it kind of incredulously, like, why would you even say something like this? It doesn't even make sense, And my problem is that this person, Dave Simpson, Dave Nighthawk, whatever, he's kind of a shock jock, and so I think this was his reaction to being mad about maybe
And
Dave Con.
and by the way, you call him a shock jock. I find it hilarious because who does he stalk? He stalked
Us.
somebody. He stalked
You?
somebody on Twitter. No,
Oh,
Venger.
Venger,
He's
Venger. Oh yeah, oh god,
he
he's got
stalks
it in for
Venger
me.
on
Oh
Twitter
my god,
like he's trying
he
to take
has
spit
it
off a
in
shoe.
for me. Yes, and
Oh
so
my
he is
god.
personally just pissed off by V. He can't
Oh
he can't think straight when Venger does anything. And the whole thing is Venger's the shock jock. Venger's you have to ignore 3/4 of what Venger says because it's just there to provoke you, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna come to your con and play this crazy adventure. It's gonna be get me kicked out of your con because it's so over the top. He's doing that on purpose. He wants to get kicked out of your con because he can say I got kicked out of the con and because my adventure is so dangerous nobody want to see it. So it's all a scam, right? It's a game he
right.
plays. But Dave seems to fall for it hook, line, and sinker because he
Every time.
gets over the top crazy whenever V does something like that. So he has this video where he goes on and on about there's all these really terrible people in the OSC like Venger and like Ernie Gygax who Ernie's not the OSR. I'm sorry, not the OSC, the OSR. Ernie Gygax and there's this and Dave Kahn has Ernie as a guest and that's horrible and he just goes so basically he just mentions like 2 or 3 people and says the OSR is just terrible because these people are in it and the OSR has done nothing to stop these people. Does he think we have a king or we elect a president every 2 or
Oh
3
yeah.
years?
We have a leader. By the way, when I came into the OSR, there was a movement to kind of organize the OSR into like a
There was a
steering
couple. I
committee.
remember this. There was a couple
And
OSCS.
you know what? The intentions were good, but do you know what happens to he who wears the crown or attempts to usurp the crown in a
It
community like
lays upon a very
OSR?
uneasy head. It's very uneasy upon that head. Boy, oh boy.
You get taken out because
Yeah.
here's the thing: the OSR. This is my observation. Your mileage may differ. The OSR is a big blanket group with little Venn diagrams inside of it that overlap here and overlap there. The OSR encompasses a whole lot of shit, but just because you hang out in Tenkar's tavern, you might not be a Tenkar's minion,
Right.
or you could be one of Tenkar's cohorts and gives me all this information, or you just might be General OSR, and occasionally you check out the tavern or you check out the videos. That this thing is huge, very huge entity. Goes from DCC to OSC to Swords and Wizardry to First Edition. Why would
There's
we
no
have?
central. There's no central authority. There's
No,
nobody. So I told Eric this before the show. Back when Lanasa was pulling all his crap, we had people contact us. They were trying to gotcha us. They would go, "Hey, have you banned Lanasa from your convention?" Like he's not going to come. Why would I virtue signal in that regard? Because he's not coming to my convention. Well, we just need to know: Did you ban him or not from your convention? Like we haven't banned anybody from our convention. Now, I will say that if I looked one day and saw Lanos had signed up, I would have refunded his money and said, "Yeah, we don't really need you here." But what's the point of banning somebody that's not going to come? It's like, did you
right.
ban Putin from coming to your convention? I'm not going to come in 2023 unless Putin's banned from your convention because of the stuff that Russia's doing. Okay, I guess I could
No,
ban
Mr. Putin.
Putin. You're not going to. So it's just it's worthless. It's just stupid. There's no point in banning somebody who's not going to come. This is the same thing in this regard. It's quite similar to this. Is that I don't have to sit there and every time somebody in the OSR does something stupid, do I have to know? Do I have to sit there and tell you if I'm banning them or not? I mean, if somebody asked me, have you banned Venture Satanis yet? He's not going to come to our convention. He's not coming. He's not coming down to Texas. I don't have to ban him. So this whole ludicrous idea that the OSR has some head, and then we have some practices and committee that goes over everything and says, no, you can't be in the OSR because you did this or that. It's not a structured movement. It's just people
No.
playing old school style games in a new school style century. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with anything else. And so this whole line of thought was just, I was just listening to this thing, and it was just the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because I didn't believe that somebody really, really thought that there is a central authority of OSR, and that we're allowed to go in there and get rid of people in the OSR. And look, and this other point was that, well, you guys are all the white old bigots are dying off
in 10 or 20 years. He
10
gave
or
it
20 years, but
20 years.
you go to conventions, Eric. I go to conventions. I see a ton of young people there playing old school games.
Oh my God.
It's like saying, I thought Joe Block had a great analogy. It's like saying, nobody's going to listen to this Led Zeppelin stuff 20 or 30 years from now, because it's old music. They're going to want the new cool music. Well, yeah, they do, but guess what? They still listen to Led Zeppelin. And the same thing that why we still read plays by Shakespeare, even though they're written 400 years ago. We still read Spider-Man comics, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko's version that was written in the early 60s. It's always going to be there. It doesn't go away. Yeah, the Conan, Roy Thomas,
it stays relevant. And here's an observation I'm going to make now. Shire Khan is pretty much an old school convention. Doesn't say you can't run 5e. I played 5e. Not running to go back to play 5e again, but I played at the same GM. He was good. But what I noticed, and what Rachel noticed, she was surprised by this too. About 1 out of 3 con attendees were women.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a convention aimed at old school gaming. Right. 1/3 of the attendees were women. It wasn't a sausage fest. Okay, it wasn't a bunch of misogyny going on. There were women, and as Rob Conley put, the best players at my table might have been the women. I'm not trying to insult the men at my table, but they were spot on. But Rob told me it was one of those female players that really, I mean, he goes, amazing play as a player. He goes, she nailed the adventure. She kept the party on track. She was like the unofficial party leader. She did great. Now, am I going to go, oh man, that should have been a guy? No, I'm like, holy shit, this is what I want to see.
Right.
This is what I want to see in my gaming. I don't want to see it forced, like, oh, we need more women, so grab women off the street and bring them in. No, but they should be going.
That's why it's so hard to bring. So when people say we'd love to have diversity in your hobby, diversity in the hobby would be great, but I'm not going to go, kidnap a busload of high school cheerleaders and bring them and make them play D&D.
Yeah, Mike. Now you tell me.
I mean, I'm just saying is what you can't force diversity and stuff like that. You can make it more. You can make it more accessible to people, yes, which is one way of promoting diversity. But you can't make people play a game who don't want to play it. And so, the more people find out about how fun D&D is, especially old school D&D, where they can sit down and start playing in 5 minutes and not have to roll up a character and take an hour to roll up a character, they start, drifting to that. And I've played, especially Swords, Wizardry, Light. I played the people who've never played D&D before at conventions, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it because it's easy to get started. It's fun. It's fun and easy to learn and quick. So old school D&D is not going anywhere, man.
Elle makes a good point. So OSR is just playing games people like that isn't the newest game. How is that a movement? Is chess playing a movement? It's a movement because there are people, and I'm sure Dave Nighthawk, Hawk Simpson, one of my many multiple accounts on Facebook, will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Dave is the one that said you should spend at least 51% of your game time playing 5e. You can play the OSR old school games, but it has to be 51% 5e because it's the only way you're going to be able to support D&D.
Right.
I think that was a video. Dave, it wasn't you.
That wasn't Dave. That was somebody else. That was somebody.
All right.
I don't think it was Dave. I think it was some guy who's even more mentally damaged than Dave.
All right, so Dave, I apologize.
Yeah, I don't think that was Dave. Dave is weird in another way. He's not weird in that way. So
I don't know. Dave's done videos in cars, and this one was done in a car, and I kind of.
Well, I don't know. I have to look.
No,
at
you're
that.
right, though. No, you're right. No, now that I remember it properly. Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay, good. Yeah, because that was some other guy, and his thing is, if you're not playing fifth edition, you're ruining D&D, which is hilarious.
You're gonna make it fail. You're
Yeah,
gonna
you're
make
making it
it
fail.
fail.
Even if you don't like fifth edition, you have to play it because we have to do whatever is possible to keep D&D going,
Right.
and
And
which is
here,
idiotic. Which is
and here's the
idiotic.
thing too. All right. Part of the argument that was going on in this video is Ernie, who's associated with Lanasa, who's associated with Michael Yak, who's
Right.
associated with oh god, Dave Johnson. All these OSR people are evil and they're polluting the pool. Guess what? Ernie is the closest to OSR only because he plays old school games. He's never, I don't think, read a retro
He's
chronicle.
not an OSR. He's not an
He
OSR
just wants
personality.
he just wants to live in his pot-headed days when he was 19 and run
He
the
just wants
same
to.
game
Yeah,
he
he just
did.
wants to stop the clock at 1983 when things are great.
Yeah,
He's just an older guy that plays old games. He's not an OSR personality.
he's
He
not.
has no effect on the OSR.
Doesn't
He's never.
doesn't
First of all, he's
create.
never written anything that's ever been published for the OSR. Much like new TSR, he's never actually published anything. So trying to connect Ernie to the OSR is stupid.
But
It's just it's stupid.
Lanasa hasn't published anything.
No,
He's not OSR. Okay.
nope,
If you've
nope,
ever read anything that Dave Johnson has written, you know he's not OSR. And Michael Yak is not OSR.
nope.
But they're trying to usurp it, or they're trying to wrestle away part of it. Why? I don't fucking know. But they're gonna find out, or they are finding out, that the OSR doesn't have the leadership. The OSR is not tangible. I can't cut a corner of the OSR off and walk off with it. Because guess what? Just like the gelatinous cube, it fills that space back up and keeps on
Uh-huh.
going. So it's pointless. Again, we saw bullshit like this. Targa. We got to do a special on Targa. I got to do a lot of research on
For
it.
those who don't know Targa, that was an interesting period in our hobby.
Oh
Yes.
my god, it was interesting in the idea that it was felt that the only way the, the OSR could succeed was with proper management. Okay, let's
It,
put it
it, it
together.
failed very quickly, by the way. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like that tried to. It was immediately shouted down people very quickly. It was
Yes,
immediately
Garibay.
shouted
Thank you, Al.
down.
Yeah, it was
You're
shot.
welcome.
Garibay was my was
That's the guy. Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
it was immediately. So Target was a very brief period, quite a long time ago, back when Google Plus was still around, to say, hey, we're going to have this society and we're going to basically have standards for the OSR. And it was like, people were like, nah, get out of here. And they booted it out. So it didn't last very long. I remember talking to some people that were interested in Target or interested in pushing it. And it just never took off.
So I mean, the strength of the OSR as a movement, as a community. I hear people going, "Don't call the OSR a community. It's not a community." You know what? There is a community that's OSR, but you don't have to be part of the community to be OSR in your gaming. You don't have to join anything. UK, little islands work just as well in this Venn diagram as
Yeah.
anything else. But the people that it's not a movement. There's different movements within it. But even the breakaways, Sword Dreams, which broke away with that
Oh
faction.
dear. Oh, another failure.
And, what
Another
happened with
total
that? I
failure.
mean, because really, this is all trying to self-identify in order to take control. Because you can't control the OSR, but maybe you can control a small part of it if you break away with it. And that's all these things are about. I think, again, the diversity that you find within the OSR, people that think on the left and the right. I find people on the left and the right, some of them on both extremes, to be personally offensive. But you know what? It's not for me to say, hey, get your fucking ass out of the OSR. Because you know what? I don't have that authority. Nobody does.
Right.
So they're part of it until they decide not to be. And same thing with everybody else.
Yeah, that's and first of all, before you have a video like this video, first of all, you need to figure out what the OSR is. Joe put it very succinctly. This person has no clue what the OSR is.
Yes.
So you have to know what you're talking about, first of all. Second, You have to know who is in the OSR. And this person, I don't think, is very knowledgeable about who is in the OSR.
Yeah, I mean,
So
who's
it
taking
was
that?
just kind of this generic rant because I think one or two things. Number one, I think they're mad because Dave Kahn is inviting Ernie, which I don't know. I'm not a big Ernie backer at this point in my life at all. And number two, that these still out there trying to do stuff, and they're personally pissed off by him, and so that seems to be this whole thing was fueled by that more than anything.
Yeah, and listen, I personally think Ernie is a shitty person, and he's been showing it in spades. And the fact that as this TSR fiasco, I'm calling it a fiasco. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think it's an awesome way to run a company. I'm saying it's a fiasco for Ernie to not uh, put some separation and distance between them because he still wants his dream of running games in the
Right.
museum in the basement to be what he wants out of life. Um, I'm sure Duck is similar, right? We don't mention Duck that often, but
There are people who have agreed to compromise their principles because they want to be close to something that still gives them a little bit of cred in the community, and so
Mhm.
they're willing to ignore what a piece of garbage Lanasa is just to kind of be in that area. And I think Ernie has pretty much admitted that. If you look at interviews, I mean, he's admitted like, look, I just want to run games. I don't care who's running it. I just want to do games and stuff. And so that that's on him. And I don't. I mean, I think he's an embarrassment to the hobby because he threw his own brother under the bus.
Yeah,
He threw Luke, and he didn't. When Lanos was attacking Luke, he didn't say a word. He's just
I
all right. Well, okay,
my dreams are more important than my blood.
right,
L, I played basic. Does that make me OSR? It makes you OSR if you want to be. I don't think that in the case of Ernie has done anything to identify with anything other than I want to be Peter Pan and not grow up. I mean, that's fine. If you can do that, and that is the life that you can pull off without harming others, more power to you. So, yes, the issue is Dave Kahn, but the issue is, too, is that Nighthawk, Dave Simpson, uh, gets this tunnel vision and only sees one thing and all he can see is how much right now he hates Dave Kahn and anything it represents and how much he hates Ernie. Listen, you're speaking to the converted when it comes to TSR,
sure, oh yeah,
all right? But I don't see them as OSR because they don't produce anything. They're not creators, okay? They are uh, at best, and maybe this is an overstatement. They came into the hobby. I say they TSR as a new entity came into the hobby trying to uh, claim false history and false regalia and
yeah.
false bona fides. Right? It's almost like stolen valor. That's not anything, right? That's not an identity. That's coming in and stealing one. So I mean,
So, so
but
sometimes
these
people
comments though,
sometimes
by
people
the
char
but
people try too hard.
they do. But I'll make one comment and then post it back to Mike. We have people like uh, James Bond, right? We have Joe Block. We have Jeff Talanian who came in before. We have Joseph Goodman. We have Bill Webb. We have Matt Finch. We have this whole uh, second generation or new generation of creators that have nothing to do, don't have any legacy at all with the original creators of old school gaming, all right,
Right,
the original D&D lines, but have come and given it so much life to our generation of gamers, made it much more approachable. And for someone like Dave to shit on people like that, people that have done so much good for the hobby in general, not just the OSR, is a really shitty pissant Stupid thing to
Because
do.
he's look, as much as he hates V, he's as much of a shock jock as V is. He really is. Except he's a shock jock on the other side that he likes to virtue signal to nth degree that he's going to get a. I guess he thinks he's going to get a. Did he think he's going to get a pat in the back for calling us anti-vaxxers because we didn't demand that everybody listens to our show get shots? I mean, I don't understand why you even come out against that. It doesn't even make sense.
I don't because
It makes no sense at all.
that was the flavor of the day. It was, oh God, I hate this term, but he has become like the OSR's Karen. You know, it's like
that is actually a very, and I'm not a big. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't.
I'm not. I hate. I don't use that term. And
I know. I have a friend named Karen, and boy, she can't stand the fact that now her name is a synonym for screaming bitchy white woman. But
that's
he is. He likes to bitch about dumb little bitchy things, and just keep it. I'm going to give you some absolutely unsolicited advice. Just keep it to games, and just talk. I mean, you're obviously passionate about games and stuff, but don't talk about things you don't have a fucking clue about, and say ridiculous shit like. He even said there's like, yeah, you guys are all going to be dead in 10, 20 years, and then we won't have to worry about the OSR ever. I mean, it was ugly. It was ugly and just nasty. And like, I can't wait till all you guys die and I can dance in your graves.
Because more than briefly, but then you'll be forgotten. You know what that really sounds like to me? Spurned lover.
Okay. Who's going to forget? Nobody's going to forget Matt Finch's contributions to the hobby. Nobody's going to forget Jeff Talanian's contributions to the hobby.
Don't forget
no one's going to forget James Spawn's contribution to the hobby. That's just it. That's idiotic. That is just idiotic. I don't even know how else to say it. I don't want to start cursing and absolutely insulting this guy, but that's just dumb to say stuff like that. Like that, nobody's going to understand these people. I think, like I said, Joe Block had a great response to him. Don't even watch this guy's video. Just go to Joe Block's video, watch that because he'll describe it. But Joe was a lot nicer than Eric and I would be because I can't resist calling a person like this stupid because this is a stupid take. It's a stupid take on the OSR. The OSR, and look, I'd like to add this. OSE, Old School Essentials, used to be BX Essentials. They just had a Kickstarter where they raised $750,000. Tell me that the OSR is going to die in the next few years.
Isn't that the amount that TSR was hoping to get paid off for their trademarks?
I think that's about Lanasa was hoping you get this bank account, but
yeah,
OSR.
I have no inside information on numbers. Right?
They're not just out there making 10,000 or 15,000 or 20,000. They're out there. There's OSR games that are making 60,000. They're making 100,000. They're making $500,000. They're making $750,000. People are buying it. Now, look, he would have a point if OSC Essentials had a Kickstarter and they made $20,000. Yeah, he has a point then. Nobody obviously paid it. But they made $700,000, almost $1 million for a game that basically is just rewritten BX. It's BX. The game we played in 1980, it's the same game. They just filed off the serial numbers and they made $750,000.
Made it pretty.
That is, I mean, Frog God Games, we're still cranking them out, kids. I mean, and I'll tell you what, the last couple of, so we started doing OSE versions. Now that Matt took Swords of Wizardry, we're splitting it. We're making as much on OSE as we are in 5e. People are buying as much OSE stuff as they are 5e, which is amazing. That's how popular OSE is. Matt, I'm sure Matt any day now it's going to crank out a new Swords of Wizardry version. I've heard through the underground that Dan Proctor is bummed out that Labyrinth Lord is getting zero attention right now, and he's supposedly working on it. I don't know if he is or not, but the OSR is doing. I mean, Raggy is still. Speaking of Raggy, will he be on your show this Friday?
Raggy should be on Friday unless something changes.
That's a plug, free plug for the Friday night.
I will be stepping back when it comes to. I will be social media maven, and Joe will be taking the lead seat.
James is I've talked to James many times on email. I've never talked to him in person, but he's a fun guy. So, but yeah, I mean, James's stuff. As long as James doesn't lose all his money with tax His
Yeah.
stuff is he puts out some quality stuff. Probably the best quality stuff in the OSR by
Even if
uh,
it's not usable at the table, it
yes,
is
a lot of it is not
extremely
used.
well written
But
and
I just
entertaining.
on my list of 10 items, may have a Raggy title on here.
I may
So
have one too, but I'm not gonna. I'm
so
not
I'm
gonna
just
tell
saying
you
this.
what. I'm not gonna tell you
No,
which
no.
one.
I by the way, just a little as while we're talking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, 15. I'm gonna have to narrow this list down. I'm gonna have to knock off 5. That's
You,
gonna be tough.
you son of a bitch! You son of a bitch!
Yikes! I gotta knock 5 off, and not only do I have to knock 5 off, I just remember 2 more that I need to put on there too.
Uh-oh.
So, ooh, that's gonna be a tough one.
Might have to do two. Might have to do the top 10, top 20 list, and just do 10 and 10 and 10 and 10. I don't
This
know.
could go on. This could be bad, but
It could be. By the way, Don, you're right. If a person X says I am OSR and there's some racist bullshit, that does not make the OSR racist. No, it is that person specifically. You are right. You
well,
know,
Watsy's done some absolutely brain dead, stupid things the last few years. That doesn't mean that everybody that works for Watsy or everybody that plays 5e is an idiot. It just means that the parent company makes some boneheaded decisions sometimes. Oh, we're gonna sue the people who basically made us $1 billion because we don't like the way they're writing their latest Dragonlance trilogy. I mean, that's just boneheaded. Just stuff like that. That doesn't mean that everybody that works there is boneheaded. That doesn't mean
no.
that everybody that plays 5e is bonehead. The same with the OSR or any organization. You know, look, go to a convention, David. Go to a convention, walk around, see what people are playing, talk to people, look at the diversity. As Eric said, there is a lot more women playing games now than I've ever seen in my life. I'm almost 60 years old. Look at the diversity there. Look at the kind of games they're playing. They're not just all playing 5e. They're playing old school. They're not even just playing old school D&D. Look at stuff like Gangbusters. Gangbusters has had a huge comeback. Call of Cthulhu is still going strong after, 40
Right.
years. I mean, just you get out there and look at and talk to people and look at people. Don't make dumb blanket statements about the
About
OSRs.
anything.
Yeah.
Blanket statements are every when you say every and all, you've probably already fucked up. By the way, James Seymour, I got your point. They took in that amount. That's gross, not net, and exactly, and that's fine. However, here's the thing, and I find this to be very amusing. It wasn't the initial printing of OSE. This was to bring out a new
This
printing
box sets. They wanted to make box sets. I backed it to the highest amount
but
because it was going to be all these really nice box sets, which I
right,
thought was pretty.
but the material wasn't new.
No,
So
not at all.
so
No.
there was the effort that they had to put in was already put in a prior Kickstarter. So yes, cost obviously to print, huge. Shipping costs be added later. Cost going to Kickstarter and payment processing, definitely. Taxes, definitely. Do you still think they walked away with at least 350,000? I would say quite likely, close to it.
They're
And
not. They're doing fine. They're doing really good.
that's pretty damn good in a quote hobby industry. All right, we've talked about this. We can always talk about this. How many people do we know that can make a full time living off this hobby? And
Very
here,
few. Very few. Yeah.
if I can count it on, especially within old school gaming, if I can count it on two hands, if the numbers that can make not just a living but make comfortable money, there's maybe one or two. One or two. It's not many. It is not many. So a lot of props I got to put out for that. They caught lightning in a bottle, and they're making it work for them.
Oh yeah. And like I said, look, the OSR community is alive and well when you can make that much money on a Kickstarter. It just is. I mean, there's no other way to cut it. And so, that right there shows you that, whatever scenarios you've invented in your head, this thing is failing, is not very accurate.
Right. Actually, you know what? You're right. Pundit 2 has some good releases. I don't have to. I'm going to have to say it here. I'm not giving anything away. One of the best written adventures, modules, products. And I think in gaming altogether, let alone old school, is Red and Pleasant Land by Zach Smith.
Very, very.
And I think,
That's going to be a touch and go to get on my top 10 because I got some good stuff. But it is very well written, extremely well. Now there may not be a lot of replayability to it, but I guarantee you that is a wild ass adventure if your characters go on it.
now that being said, I think Vornheim is the most overhyped piece of shit that Zach has done. My opinion. I can give
I don't
him.
really love that. I thought it was. I don't hate it as much as you. I didn't find the same utility that most people get there. But I know
I
you.
was annoyed by everybody going, "Oh my god, this is better than sliced bread. It's changed the way I game."
I think they like the way that they like that you could roll dice on the cover or something. I don't know what the big deal.
Who
About
gives
that
a flying fuck nut?
I'm with you. I don't get it. Don't get it. But yeah, that's so. Anyway, so Eric, to tell you a story here, Eric sends me this video like an hour before the show, so I get all wound up because I was absolutely wound up after that because I every once in a while I forget the anti-vaxxer comments, which are just stupid. And by the way, this is the thing is he's blocked off of Facebook. I blocked him. You've blocked him. He's blocked us. I don't even see what he talks about on Facebook. But he made a habit of coming on Tenkar's Tavern and trying to start fights all the time, which is a big thing too. So I know you kicked him off for that, and he got all pissy because you kicked him off. So I think a lot of his stuff is motivated by this is my theory, absolutely my opinion, my theory. I think he's jealous of you, and I know it sounds weird. But I think he's jealous of the fact that you broke the Slanasa stuff for anybody, even before you were in there going on with Dave when Floor was doing his stuff. You kind of came at it from two different directions. You and
I got hit with just C&D in the end. I mean,
yeah. But
if you want a C&D, I'm sure we can arrange to get.
He was grabbing on your coattails though. He came into this late, and I think he felt like if I hit it as harder than Eric, even people are going to think I broke this story. You didn't break the story, dude. You jumped on Eric's coattails and you hung around. Now, it's great that you did, but I just get the feeling there's this really big jealousy for Eric in this. But it's not just my theory. It could be absolutely wrong. So anyway,
I can neither confirm nor deny your theory, Michael.
I just get that every time I read it. It just seems like he's really pushing, just trying really too hard. I mean, I know a lot of his stuff is motivated by hatred of V. I mean, you know that he can't stand V. And anytime V does anything, he's all over it. Like, remember when V was basically saying, "Oh, I might go to Gamehole Con." He was never going to go to Gamehole.
Right.
But he said that because he wanted everybody to talk about him for 24 hours. And then when somebody said, whatever, he came out and be blah, blah, a bunch of weird shit because V's weird. And so that just like drove Dave insane. The fact that, oh my God, well, Alex Caber, you have to ban him immediately.
No, he is wrong person.
Who was it?
Action Andy.
Was that Markham? That was Markham.
Yeah,
I thought that was.
I'm sure. I am sure that Nighthawk was stirring his own shit elsewhere. But no, the one that was in the Gamehole group.
That was Andy.
The one that Andy Markham decided to let all 100 of his Facebook friends know what a shitty person I am. Because
you look running a convention that there's a very small community of us. There's very few people, and there's us, Gary and I, and David, and there's Luke, then there's Alex and his crew, and Luke and his crew, and Angela. Well, actually, Angela's retired, but yep. Tom Wilson. There's a very few. We have a small fraternity, and there is a lot of things that we do that you don't know, how hard it is or whatever. One of the things I can tell you that everybody hates is when they want you to comment, they demand you comment on something. So I demand to know if Venger's banned from your convention. There's nothing that pisses off someone who runs a convention more than shit like that. They demanding to know if fill in the blank is banned from your con, or you know, and over the years, the best answer to that is if you don't want to come to my con, don't kiss ass on stuff like that. You just tell them don't come to the con. I don't care.
Right.
I really don't give a flying fuck. You come to my con or not, I don't fucking care. I don't care. Don't come. And that's most. I noticed that Luke has been doing that more often, and I think Alex has been doing it a little bit too. I mean, not quite as vociferously as I just put forth,
Right.
but look, you can't make everybody happy, and demanding to know right away, like, hey, I need to know in the next hour whether or not you're. And people have done that. I've had people do that. I demand to know right now if fill in the blank. I had somebody years ago who demanded to know if there will be guns at our convention, North Texas, and I said yes, because Doug carries a gun, and yes, we have West Texas sheriffs that come to our game, and it's not illegal to do it in Texas, and there's no signage at the hotel, so yes, there will be guns at the con. I mean, is that what you need to know? So there you go. Yes, there will. Well, because there's been a lot of shootings and stuff lately. Okay, well, then there's your answer. There will be guns at the con, and I'm sorry there's a lot of shootings and stuff lately, but you know what? The guys at our convention are going to be West Texas sheriffs who are law enforcement, so
Yep.
that would make me feel somewhat safe, that these guys know what they're doing with their guns. But, just what was I supposed to say? Like, oh my God, is that going to offend you? Then yeah, in that case, we're going to ban them. We're going to ban them all, even though we're not allowed to by the law of the state of Texas. We're still going to, like I said, nothing pisses off somebody who runs a convention more than demanding to take action immediately over X, Y, or Z, because there is so much shit going on. There's so many balls being juggled in the air. There's so many things. You don't have time to stop down to everybody's request and to make them feel important and make them feel happy. And at this point of my life and our career and the fact that North Texas has been going 15 years, if at this point somebody demands to know something,
I demand.
You know what? You could demand all you like. I don't really care, because
How
99%
dare
of
you?
people come to our con or are having a great time.
How dare you? I demand. You're supposed to answer. James Seymour wants to know the bucket list of cons. Now, I'm going to give you my opinion, and it might not match Mike's list. Yeah. Gary Con is literally bucket list. It is the go once. You've done it. You've gone to Mecca. You don't. I don't know if I need to go again. Maybe if the venue changes. I just don't think it's. For me, it's going to be as enjoyable as it was the first few times. But it's a bucket list. Game hole. If you want to see how a good chairman will run a convention, or did all works like clockwork, Alex Cameron's convention all works like clockwork. And whether you're 5e or old school, you'll find games to play. Vending room is pretty cool. North Texas, my home away from home. I will never willingly miss in North Texas. I would probably drive there if I had to and live out of my car for the weekend if I couldn't get a hotel room. So, not to be missed, personally. Now, regional cons from the Northeast, Total Con in February. It's 4 days of gaming. It's a very nice con. It's about 1,000 attendees, so it's large but not too large. The hotel sucks. I'm not going to go beyond saying that the convention itself is very nice. The hotel sucks balls. Saying that the air is bad quality is probably the best thing I can say about the hotel. But
which hotel is this? Do you want to give us a name?
I
or
can't,
not?
I can't remember the name of the fucking hotel. We were talking about that at ShireCon, and it's like, obviously they must have a great deal if they don't ever leave, because everybody complains about the venue. Right. ShireCon, great one-day convention, but if you're not in the tri-state area or coming from Massachusetts, you're going to have to find a bed and breakfast or Airbnb or a motel 20 miles away, because not everybody can be Rob Conley and drive back to Western Pennsylvania after eating dinner on Saturday and then get home at like 5 a.m.
Son of a bitch.
All right, not everybody is Rob. I'm certainly not Rob. I had a much better time getting up there Friday and spending 2 nights, and leaving on Sunday. So awesome little con, but I can't say if you're coming from the West Coast, I'm not gonna say fly out to ShireCon, right? So it's only one day.
Is that your list? Anything
That's my
else?
list.
So I'm gonna concur on pretty much all of those. So yes, go to Gary Con at least once because it's just Gary Con, and you get to go to Lake Geneva. You get to drive by Gary's house. You get to go by, all that. I mean, so that's look. I've done it. Gosh, I don't know, 3 or 4 times now. I may or may not ever go again because at this point I'm kind of not really into that. But yes, it was definitely worth going to. It is definitely amazing. Gamehole Con is a very well run con, extremely well run, and I would, if you're in that area, I wouldn't say it's necessarily worth a special trip out there or anything. And it's not like because like Gary Con, you're going there because you're going to the motherland, right?
Right.
You're going to go back to where it was all happened. So that's almost like a
It's a pilgrimage.
pilgrimage. Whereas Gamehole is not really that, but if you're in that area, definitely go to Gamehole Con. It is it's a fun little con, all kinds of stuff. North Texas, I mean, I'm obviously prejudiced there, but I think we put on a pretty good con there. I would think if you want, I always say, look, if you like Gary Con, take the 500 people you like the best out of Gary Con, put them down in North Texas, and that's what you got. You're going to have all the people that you want to hang out with without all the people that you don't want to hang out with. So if that's something you like, then definitely try that out. I would say go to Gen Con once. I have not been in over a decade, and I don't like what it's become from what I've heard. But I think it's something you need to do one time just to say you went there, just to see the pageantry and how amazing it is and how ridiculous it's gotten at this point. But I mean, I look. You might not. I mean, you might not like it because it's not really a game con anymore. It's an entertainment con. There's lots of cosplayers, lots of crazy stuff going on. But I would say that was probably one you have to hit. Just one time in your life type of thing. Other than that, when it comes to regional stuff, Texas has a lot of little small. I mean, I love the long con guys. I mean, that's a great little con, but it's really small. It's very small. I mean, a lot of these regional, I mean, like ShireCon's really small. Would I say it's absolute bucket list? Probably not a bucket list, but it sounds like it's going to be you're going to have a blast.
Right.
Kind of like I've been to Long Con quite a few times. I've had a blast every time I went to Long Con. I wouldn't say necessarily it's bucket list. If you don't make it, you don't make it. But it's really good. It's a really, really good con, and I can't really think of anything else at this point that is just so good that
How was ReaperCon?
hit it, or if you don't hit it, you're not going to know what you're doing. I think Chaosium Con has a chance to be that in a few years. They just had their first convention last year. Everybody had a blast there, and I heard they're opening up to other games now. It's not going to be just Chaosium stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I heard they're going to let people run other games, which would be fun. So yeah, I think Chasm Con has a chance to be a really good con.
Reaper?
ReaperCon, I went to ReaperCon. I loved it. Now, I wouldn't say it's a bucket list, but if you're into miniatures, you have to go to ReaperCon. ReaperCon is the miniature con in the United States because Reaper Miniatures puts the con on, and it's all about miniatures. And so if you like miniatures, that's where you need to be. You really, really need to be. And like I said, there's a lot of regional cons I'm leaving out that go on every year that are everywhere, but those are just the ones I know about. Now, I would love to go to Total Con because I've just heard so many. I mean, I just know all the people go there and they have a blast. Everybody goes there, but it's in February. It's in the Northeast. That is like 2 X's in my book right there. February in the Northeast is like because I only drive now. I don't like to fly, and I don't like bad weather, and so you got a chance for both of them out there, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm trying to think of something else local that. I'll next week I'll be at Lone Star Game Expo, which is a great little con. It only has about 300-400 people. It's about as big as North Texas. I'll be there. That's a fun con. I would, like I said, I don't know if it's a bucket list, but it's fun. It's a fun little local con. And those are the kind of cons. Look, me on my soapbox right here. You don't. Gen Con doesn't. I'm going to tell you some. I'm going to lay some truth bombs on you. Can I lay truth bombs? I can lay some truth bombs, right?
Us? Truth bombs? Never. Never. Go ahead. Blast away.
We get fortified here.
It's going to be a big truth bomb, folks.
Gen Con doesn't give a shit if you come or not. They really don't. Gen Con couldn't care less if you come or not. Because they have 60,000 people come. If you want to support gaming and you like the game, you need to go to cons like ShireCon, like North Texas, like LongCon. All these cons we just talked about, Eric and I. These are the cons you need to attend because that is where real gaming is happening.
Yeah.
Not at these big giant entertainment cons like Dragon Con and San Diego Comic Con and
They're all
Gen
shows.
Con, who don't care about you. They don't give a shit. They don't know your name. They don't tell you hi. They don't say it's good to see you again. They don't care. You go to small cons and you meet all the people there, and you get to, if there's a special guest there, you get to hang out with them, maybe have dinner with them, talk to them about stuff. That's what you need to be supporting in this day and age. The smaller regional cons, because that is the backbone of the hobby, and that is the backbone of the OSR. This is where that's where it started. That's where all these OSR things like Labyrinth Lord and Swords of Wizardry, that's where they were first played. Ostrich at these small cons. That's where they got their start.
And like Mike is saying, if you want to have an opportunity to actually meet icons in the industry, big names in old school gaming, like your Alan Hammocks, your Steve Winters.
You can sit down in North Texas and play a game with Steve Winter at the table with you, or with Steve Marsh, or with Errol Otis, because people have done that before. You're not going to get that at any big convention. It's just not going to ever happen. I'm sorry.
I mean, they sign up to play games. They're not playing as a celebrity. They're signing up to play a game. How cool is that shit?
Origins still exists. It's just it's in Ohio. It's kind of out of my range, but I've heard it's like Gen Con used to be, in that it's not 60,000 people. It's like maybe half or less, which is probably okay. I have some issues with Origins. I'll probably never make it out there just because where it's at, it's far out there in Ohio. That Ohio place is so far away.
Ohio.
But yeah, so support small local cons. Those are the ones that we really care about you. And when you get there, it's really like seeing your family. It's like seeing your buddies and your friends. Look, there was nothing better during COVID than going to North Texas and seeing the people that, the year 2019 when it was really bad. And, we said, look, we don't want anybody coming in from out of town because we don't want to take a chance somebody catches COVID. So we told all the special guests to stay home. Diesel still drove up from Austin, he and his wife. Levi Combs flew in. We still had a few people that showed up. It was about 75 people. And it was great just seeing these people because everything was just going so bad that year with COVID that it was great seeing your friends, and just saying, hey, this is cool. I'm glad you guys showed up, That's what Eric and I talk about all the time. That's what going to conventions is. That's the funnest part is after the vendor room closes, you all go to the bar and hang out and start telling stories and say, what have you been up to? What's this guy been up to?
So, I mean, I don't go to conventions to play games, although I will say at ShireCon was the first time I actually played a game at a convention. Did I play one at North Texas this year? I don't remember. I don't know. I know I played one the prior year with James Shields with his Star Wars / Alien crossover, which was a fucking blast. But I generally go to run games and socialize. So
That's so. Anyway, to sum it up, the OSR is not dying.
No, it is nicked dead.
It is not going to die.
It is not tot. It is. Listen, I always, whenever I hear shit like this, I always think it's like Monty Python, Quest for the Holy Grail. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Oi, I ain't dead yet. Oh, you will be.
Right.
Listen, we're all gonna pass at some point.
Mm-hmm.
The OSR is going to last longer than anybody who's currently playing it. And it might not be called the OSR at that point. It might be called something different. But these games will still be played. People will still be playing Basic Expert, 1E, 2E. Just like people are still playing chess, checkers, Parcheesi, poker. These games, they might morph, they might change, but they don't really change all that much. They're classics. And original D&D, well, maybe not original D&D, not
Yeah.
the original white box, which is probably not playable,
Oh,
but basic, advanced. These games are they're never gonna leave. And since you can always buy them in reprints, even if you don't want to play a newly rewritten clone, you can buy the originals and reprints from Drive Through. They know the money's there, right? Wizards of the Coast knows the money is there,
mhm.
and that trust me on that one. So wow, well the convention thing that was a nice
That
derail.
came out of nowhere. But
That was
do we
good.
have time to talk about the latest problems from our favorite publisher, New TSR? Because they had some news this week that was kind of hilarious in its own way.
Are we talking about did we get? I don't know. That's right. Did we get a chance to talk about the injunction last week? Was that?
We talked about it a little bit because we had about an hour. We talked about it just a little bit, but um, I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about it except that somebody's in some deep doo doo right now.
It's gonna. It's kind of
Very deep.
here's the thing. It's going to cost money to respond to, and the request for an injunction does something. And I'm going to say this in layman's terms because I am not a lawyer, never made any claims to be so. But what this does is it basically makes you go, oh, well, this lawsuit was going to play out over the next 12 months. Holy shit, we got 3 weeks to respond,
Mhm.
and if not, everything can shut down on my end. Holy fuck! It accelerated the timetable very
Mhm.
quickly, and when that happens, um, the party with deeper pockets tends to come out.
Yikes! Yeah, that's one problem is when if you're fighting a deep pocketed foe, you better have the might the forces of right on your side because you're going to need help. You're not going to be able to do this on your own, and if you're able to gin up the people and say, yeah, I'm fighting for the right thing and get maybe some donations and some pro bono stuff. If you're a piece of shit, nobody's going to help you, and you're not going to get pro bono anything.
Right.
And so that seems to be what's happening right now.
And so, Wizards of the Coast, I don't know if we mentioned this, but they added some attorneys to the case, and one of them was a full partner at the law firm in question, and their specialty is oratory. Now, we've all played RPGs. We've all taken the oratory skill, right? It's the one that you
Mhm.
use to change minds and to convince people. Why would you need somebody who's very skilled at oratory when that's your specialty? Well, because they want an oral argument in front of the judge. They don't want written arguments.
Yeah.
Wizards of the Coast has requested oral arguments. Why do you request oral arguments? Because you suspect that your oral argument, which allows the judge to ask questions, the judge can interject and say, "Excuse me, Mr. Smith, I have a question about yada yada, whatever you're referring to." When you have a written argument, you don't have you've written it. Oh, the judge has a question. All right, well, we'll make update to or an addendum to it. No, you have to be quick on your feet if it's doing or if it's an oral argument, and I suspect that's why we have that. And they added another lawyer whose specialty is removing the veil from LLCs.
Mhm.
And since there are a number of LLCs involved in this, I find that very interesting. But what was caught by others, which was not caught by me initially, is uh, when they filed this injunction, Wizards of the Coast also basically left it open to add additional. I don't want to say I want. It's not unindicted co-conspirators because it's not a criminal case,
Right.
but it is to add additional subjects additional defendants based upon the evidence that they believe that they are either in possession with or will be in possession with, which could mean Dave Johnson and Michael Yack and Ernie, or it could mean the troll accounts on Twitter, which it is suspected they were under control of TSR and or people within.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's not it's going to cost a lot of money from here on out just because things are going to roll along, and TSR seems like they've really ramped it up here because they look, I think they want the table totally cleared for all their anniversaries coming up. They have
Wizards
a
of
lot
the Coast. Wizards of the
yeah,
Coast.
Wizards of the Coast. I'm sorry, not
It's okay.
TSR. Wizards of the Coast has a lot of anniversaries coming up, and they don't want any of this crap honing. It's like you got it's like your Jimmy Carter. You got your brother Billy Carter who is getting loaded all the time, and your president.
Willie Beer.
You got so they have Wizards of the Coast ready to have this gigantic 50-year anniversary thing next few years, and they've got their loaded Uncle Billy in the corner, just drinking beer and shouting homophobic and racist crap, and let's take Uncle Billy outside, and shove him in the in the outhouse or something, and lock the door. And that's kind of this that they want this all gone.
Yeah,
and that's why they're trying to speed this up and just start money whipping the shit out of Lanasa because they want this out. They want this gone by next year or so, I think.
So James Seymour has a good point there. It's play ball with us or get added to the suit. Right. Be a cooperating witness or potentially be an additional defendant. Now, what was interesting this week, and this is all the build up in the background to get to there, is that this week the media started catching up on this story.
Yeah, the Bloomberg report had a story about it.
About a video game.
Yeah.
Right? Well, they finally corrected it.
Yeah, they corrected it.
But man, it was because now this has gotten some, and if it has these wings, my suspicion again, I have no inside information. I don't work for Wizards of the Coast, despite what some might suspect. I speak so highly of them all the time. You know that, right?
Yes. Yeah, we love them. Yeah.
But I suspect that somebody at Wizards of the Coast or one of their attorneys, somebody in PR, started reaching out to news and said, "Hey, I want to increase the heat on TSR. Let's get this story out there. Let's make a few phone calls. Hi, who do you know at Polygon? Who do you know at some other shitbag, barely read news source in the gaming industry? Holy shit! Yeah, but wait, you have somebody at Bloomberg. You think Bloomberg would be interested in this? Yeah, play the racist aspect up.
Oh yeah, which is by the way, this is why Wizards wants to shut down, and they don't want to deal with this because they don't want these stupid stories coming out, for the next 2 years about this racist. But the guys who run TSR now are so racist that they don't want it to be about that. They want it to be about, it's 50 years of D&D. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't believe that Lanasa is the one, or TSR is like, hey, let's use our news connections on this one. They were trying. Sorry, somebody on one of the troll accounts on Twitter a couple of weeks ago was trying to hashtag all the news agencies about Wizard Tower Games. I don't think you're going to attract too many news agencies when you can't spell your tweets properly. I think they're going to look at your tweet and go,
that never helps. Yeah, it doesn't help.
But it's interesting times, and I mean, right now, you got to figure we're at the moment where by the end of the month, we should have an idea where this is all going, and it might be by the end of the month, like a wrestling match. Somebody decides to tap out and take the loss.
Somebody in, I won't say who, but somebody's going to have to, at a certain point, sit down and do a comprehensive tally of what this is going to cost and do they have any chance of winning anything. And I think that's when this is all going to finally wind down.
I was somebody in the legal profession. I'm going to give the average of what two people in the legal profession estimated the cost prior to discovery. So this is prior to discovery, prior to subpoenas, prior to any of that stuff. Estimated that the cost for TSR was somewhere in the vicinity of $25,000 to $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, discovery was where it was going to get expensive, and this injunction likely made it more expensive.
Mm.
So I don't. Again, there. I know the more lottery tickets you buy, the better chance you have at winning lotto, right? Yeah, you can spend $500,000 trying to win the $1 million jackpot, but you still have a 50% chance of losing $500,000. And if you win, you don't win as much as you thought you did, and then you still have to pay taxes on the full amount.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, let me catch up. If Wizards of the Coast sued in the right jurisdiction, the loser could be responsible for all legal costs for the winners. And they are in the right jurisdiction, the proper jurisdiction, because the initial filing was in North Carolina federal court, which was a wrong jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
And that was then withdrawn, refiled in Washington State federal court. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, there's something else that people have been asking me about, and I'm going to tell you, I don't really have much of an update. I probably can't even find the tab. People want to know what's going on with the Gygax will, and I do have a tab open somewhere on that.
Ooh, okay.
But it's been moving very slowly. There's nothing is being expedited on that. So
Interesting. Yeah, it's taking forever.
yeah, if I find something out about that, I'll do a video to update people. Yes, in federal court, the winner can get their court and lawyer fees in a judgment,
Mm-hmm.
which could be painful. Because right now, Wizards of the Coast is, if nothing else, they're padding their books. Not literally padding, but they don't care about expenses. They're spending as much as they want to.
Yeah, look at that! Look at that murderer's row of lawyers they have. These are not just dudes you get out of the phone book, man.
No.
These are top tier lawyers.
So, it's it's rough and interesting because you know the American court system is not a perfect court system. We know that, and it's abuse. Listen, why was I hit with the CND? I was hit with the CND to shut me up, but I don't.
Boy, they don't know you very well. Wow.
No, but not only that, I talk about facts. And when I opinionate, I tell you I'm opinionating. And the First Amendment in the United States is a huge, huge thing. What I do on this channel and what as maybe what you could do in Australia is totally different.
Yes.
The reason why
Yeah, Australia, you can get.
Zach Smith has had successful legal actions in, I believe, Australia, and his one in Canada looks like it's going to be in his favor.
Because they don't have freedom of speech, kids. Hate to tell you that. They say they do, but they really don't. Over here, I can say my opinion is that Eric's a piece of shit, and Eric just has to smile and take it. But in Australia, I have to prove he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And so he can take me to court and say, you need to prove that that Eric is a piece of shit. Oh, well, I don't know if I can prove that. Well, guess what? You're going to owe Eric money.
Yeah.
And the case in Australia actually, so
This
guy basically left out the accused part and said, yeah, Zach did this, this, and this. And
which it's kind of like what Peter did with Gen Con.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's not gonna.
You have to, in those countries, you have to say accused, not maybe he didn't, and
Right.
they got ahead of themselves. Said, oh yeah, he did this, this, and this. That's a no-no, and it's a no-no in Canada too.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You have to cover yourself very closely when you say you accuse people of stuff.
Climbing that mountain hasn't Wizards of the Coast countersued. This is all Wizards of the Coast countersued
Yeah.
right now, and it's Wizards of the Coast going for the asking for the injunction to cause TSR and the Dungeon Hopper Shop
And
Museum
we did
to
say he
keep
took out.
selling anything with the
We
TSR.
did. We did say he took out Star Frontiers, right? I don't know if
I
we
don't know
even
if we
mentioned,
did. No.
it.
So
Yeah, that
Star Frontiers was uh, for sale for almost a year
yeah.
on the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, but it was never
Good luck
in
with
stock.
getting that. Yeah,
It was always on back order, not even pre-order, back order.
whatever.
So it was always uh, faux in stock. Is that a good way to put it? Faux in stock. So now it's not even listed. Now, why would that be? I don't know. Maybe they're not going to be spitballing. This is hypothesis. Is that maybe somebody said to TSR, "Hey, you keep on saying you're selling this thing, but it doesn't even exist in barely exists in beta form. Maybe you should take that out." Now, why would you have it up on your website? Has nothing to do with this lawsuit.
Yeah. Uh huh.
You know what it has to do with? To do with trademark.
Oh yeah.
You want to show it in use, and if they don't, but that does have something to do with this lawsuit because if you can't say you own the trademark, then this lawsuit goes. At least that part of it goes.
Yeah.
So it is all. It's all many levels. I know somebody suspects that they are playing 3D chess, and what they're playing is checkers with only with only the red person. Okay.
Yeah. This is. There's no. Yeah. That there's. We've talked to lawyers. This is not 3D chess at this point. This is. I should have done something a year ago to stop this from happening. And
Yeah.
now it's too late. Now the steamroller has gained steam rolling down the hill, and it's not nothing I do. I mean, look at it this way: there's nothing this person can do to stop it because he doesn't have anything that WotC wants or needs. They don't need or want anything from him at this point. He can't settle with them. Well, why would they settle with him? They're about to
Yeah.
absolutely curb
They're gonna
stomp this.
yeah, they're gonna crush him. He's gonna be
There's no
worse than
point.
Turtle
They're going to
Mill.
set an example that will be an example forever. Nobody is ever going to do this again after they get through rolling him over with the steamroller. Nobody's going to do this, and that's what their whole point here is. It's not to okay, yeah, maybe a year and a half ago he could have settled by saying, "Look, yeah, I just want this, and just let me have this." That was
Yeah.
before
Just
he
give
issued
me the
all the big.
lizard man. That's all I want is the lizard man. And whatever Darlene did. Because if Darlene did it,
This
I
is what
want
happens
it.
when you get greedy and you think you're going to get six figures from a major corporation by I'm gonna ruin their name so badly they're gonna pay me off rather than
Yeah.
have to keep ruining it. No, it doesn't
Oh,
work like that.
they're gonna bend you over and fuck you with a
Yeah,
rod.
they're gonna say, you know what, we're gonna just gonna run you over and leave you like a stain
Hypothetically.
in the highway. Hypothetically,
Hypothetically.
well, that's our opinion. That's my opinion. Just
Well,
my opinion.
I actually do believe that that's going to happen, but not literally.
Yeah.
It's going to be it's going to be and how about this? It'll be in an illiterate manner, which would be
Mhm.
very fitting for this whole situation. With the Tower Games, when people find out what Lanasa really planned, the things that only a few of us know, uh, and will come out once the trial is over. They will shake their heads, crazier than a fantasy novel.
I will say one thing is, for a while, Lanas was trying to build up this, I don't know, grassroots kind of thing. Like, hey, I'm the little guy taking on the big guy. And he got a couple of sites to cover his bullshit, a couple of, what's that one clownfish site that like,
Yeah,
hey
yeah,
man,
yeah.
he's just a misunderstood. Yeah, they ran away as soon as all the racist stuff came out, but they were like, yeah, this guy's trying to do this. He doesn't seem to have that connection anymore because I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that some of these people actually paid for Cult of Abaddon and Dungeon Crawl game and they never got it and they never will. So I don't think that grassroots, yeah, man, we're going to support him is gone. And I think he was really counting on that. I really think he was counting on the grassroots kind of like, yeah, let's support this little guy against the big corporation. But, it's just, you gotta pay off your fans. You look, if he had sent out his modules and games that were paid for, he might have a little support from those people.
But no, that would actually mean respecting your fans.
Yeah.
Wizard Tower Games, he bragged about the community would rally behind him. He would laugh about it because he doesn't understand what
He didn't understand the
really
community. Yeah, he
needs.
doesn't. He thought he was going to be like a politician and promise a lot of stuff, but he's not a politician. He's not a
Right.
very well spoken anything. He can't well speak. He can't speak well like a politician does, and he had nothing to give these people. Once you look, he pre-sold games he never sent. So once you don't do that, you're not offering people anything. But
No.
they're saying, "Why should I support you? I gave you $20 for Cult of Abaddon, and that was in January, and here it is September, and I don't have it yet. And yet you posted pictures. You had a picture of a big stack of them in your office, saying they're ready to ship out. Where are they? Yeah, those people aren't going to rally behind you at that point. They're done. They moved on to something else.
What about my dungeon crawls? What about dungeon
I
crawls?
know. I was hoping we could play your dungeon crawl at North Texas for a joke one night. Maybe like have a late night dungeon crawl game and put it on YouTube. But now we're not. I guess we're not gonna get that chance because
No.
no dungeon crawl and no badly spelled, badly edited stuff that Lanasa changed changed to not make less sense than it made before. Remember we read those cards and you can't even make sense of some of them because they
Yeah,
were
no,
so
they were
messed
ridiculous.
up.
But that's what you get when you spell check with Grammarly. Allegedly, it may be that somebody's using
Maybe. Yeah.
it may be that somebody is using luck and or their first grade child to do their editing. I mean, it all counts, I guess.
First grade trial would have caught some of the problems I saw. So
Yeah, probably.
I don't know if I believe that or not.
I don't know. I'm just
So yeah,
throwing it out there.
we're gonna. I mean, the thing is, if you listen, we had guests the last few weeks, but we haven't been talking about it much because it's just not much to talk about. It's just this guy getting steamrolled into a stain on the highway. At this point, we'll wait to see what happens after the steamroller rolls over him. We'll see what's left afterwards. But what's the point of talking about it? I mean, it's just every day it's going to be another nut kick for the guy. So
Yeah, well, I want to see how the injunction plays out. I think, listen, however the injunction plays out is how the larger case is going to play out.
right.
If for some reason Wizards of the Coast does not get their injunction, then if I was TSR, I would be getting myself shit ass drunk and high as a kite because the world is looking good. But if the injunction happens, as I suspect, and as legal minds that I've spoken to get their opinion, there are a number of legal minds in the gaming community. Um, they were all like, "Wow, this injunction to them seemed like a slam dunk," and yeah,
I thought it
that's
sounded pretty. I mean, it seemed to put forward a pretty good case that this should really be shut down. So I think they proved their case. I mean, what do I know? I'm just a dude. I'm not a law official, but it seemed like they did what they were supposed to do. So
yeah. So you could say you're just a bill.
I'm just a bill.
Bill.
Oh, I love those. Love those.
Schoolhouse rock
Conjunction,
here.
junction. What's your
Oh,
function?
function. Yeah, we should
So
have.
I have all those on DVD. I have all the Schoolhouse Rock on DVD, and I remember I bought it for my niece, and we put in conjunction junction. She started crying, and she didn't want to watch it. And so we're like, okay,
Stop
whatever.
making me learn.
So my wife and I sat there and watched them all, and we're laughing and singing and clapping like this is awesome. So I still have. I gotta find it. I still have that somewhere. But yeah, that was great. We were watching all the old math rock and history rock and schoolhouse rock. So they were great.
There you go. Awesome stuff. Well, Mike, we had no guest, and we're already knocking on 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Wow. I do have an offer from Melissa Fadden. She would like to come on the show sometime. I'm going to contact her and see if we can get her on next week's. She is making a Greyhawk map. I do not know for what purpose, so I'm interested to know what for this purpose is. But an Alyssa Fadden Greyhawk map sounds pretty effing awesome.
Pretty spot on. And
So that would be
we
cool.
have who else we have coming up?
We have Matt Nettie from Long Con in October. I'm not sure. I have to double check the week. I think it's the second week in October. But Matt and Eddie, who are just two hilarious, great, fun guys, they have their own podcast too. They will come on and talk to us about Long Con and just gaming in general and all kinds of fun stuff. And So, and then Eric and I will do our top 10 OSR adventures. By the way, now I'm up to 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm up to 20.
All right.
So I've got to work this list down. I've got to knock a few off here. So I can knock 3 off by saying, okay, here's adventures, and then plus here's 3 magazines you must read, because I have 3 magazines that have adventures in them, but really you could just say these are separate. So I'm already figuring out ways to work more in there so you get more bang for your buck. See, that's how kick ass I am.
Mike kicks ass. He's our Chuck Norris of the OSR.
There's a couple I have to remember the name of that I have at home. I'll have to dig through the boxes. There's a couple of really good OSR adventures were published about 10, 15 years ago that didn't really get a lot of pub, but they're pretty good. And I have to look them. I have to dig them up to find out what the titles were. But I really enjoyed them a lot. So yeah, there's going to be some stuff you've never heard of when we do this. So there'll be I'm sure we have. Eric and I will have some big ones on that list, like, oh yeah, I've heard of that one all the time. But there's going to be a few on here you're going to say, huh? What is that? And I'm going to explain it to you.
James
and Eric will explain it to you. We'll explain
James is a future question for us, man. If nobody in your family games, who gets your stuff when you pass?
Ship it to North Texas, and we will auction off to help support the con.
There you go.
See, that was easy. That was so easy.
Very special. Very special. Yay. Folks, listen. This is the part where everybody jokes about, but now it's changed.
It's the part you get in trouble for.
Right. There you go. Because we're no longer in a...
According to the president, we're not in a pandemic anymore.
We're not in a pandemic. It's over. It's done, right? No, it's
finished.
It's endemic, right? It ain't going away. It's going to be like the flu. Use your common sense. Only you know what applies to you. Don't follow any advice from me because I am not a doctor.
So. We're not doctors. We really feel awkward telling you exactly what to do with your health. I mean, look at me. I weigh 300 pounds. I'm not telling you what to do with your health.
Right. You see? Listen to Mike, which means don't listen to Mike.
No.
Be safe. Be well. God bless. Roll those dice. Roll them well. Thank you, everyone.
Subscribe and this Friday.
This Friday.
James
Raggy on the live stream Friday, 8 p.m. Subscribe, like, join. $1.99 a month supports what we do, allows me to make sure that my co-hosts have, well, maybe not top-notch equipment, but like better equipment than they have.
These headphones are kick-ass, man.
You know? So we do this. We don't do this because it pays buku bucks. It doesn't.
Where's my throne? You're supposed to get me a throne, though. You said you would get me a throne. And
the shitter's in the other room, Mike. You got
the throne. Okay, I got mixed up what you meant by throne.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. If you want one of those toilets, that has like that slow.
Oh, well, it has a bidet on it too.
No bidet. Just these slow drops, so you don't have to slam down.
I'll take that too. Is it heated? Heated? Is it heated?
No, you're in fucking Texas. You don't need to eat it.
That's true.
It's heated automatically.
That's very true.
Everybody, seriously, thank you.
You so much.
Because of you, it really means the world to us. I'm overcome. All right, folks. Good night.
Bye. Later. Love you guys. Here's my